a este seminario, importantísimo seminario, dice relación con uno de nuestros mercados más importantes, pero no, por no decir el más importante, y que en términos de futuro seguirá siendo muy relevante e importante, independiente que obviamente tenemos que siempre estar conscientes de tener siempre una atención respecto de otros mercados que van evolucionando, y va a depender también evidentemente de la evolución que tenga el Asia en general. Ahora nos vamos a referir específicamente a China. China, nuestro principal importador de fruta fresca, y también obviamente con una potencialidad tremenda, relevante en todo sentido, en términos de volumen, en términos de expectativas, y por lo tanto conocer lo que está sucediendo en China y sus perspectivas es tremendamente relevante. Por lo tanto, creemos de que este tipo de seminarios deberían ser y van a ser muy útiles, y debemos seguir perseverando en términos de conocer cada vez más todo lo que está pasando en China específicamente y en el mundo. El mundo es un mundo cambiante, es un mundo que va a cambiar con una velocidad muy distinta a lo que hemos estado acostumbrados, y eso hace evidentemente que tengamos que conocer más, tener más conocimiento de las realidades de cada mercado y cómo está cambiando el consumidor. Y en ese sentido, obviamente que queremos agradecer la participación de Patty San y de Alexander Wari, algo así por el estilo, ya en esta oportunidad. Thank you very much, Patty and Alexander, for your participation. This is a very important issue for us, so we will learn from your experiences, and we are very glad that you are here to speak about China and its future. Gracias a todos, les deseo que sea muy provechoso. Saludar a todos ustedes que están no solamente miembros de la asociación, sino que también veo que Javiera Pufó, que está también ahí. No veo a otros, digamos, pertenecientes a otros, y seguramente están también estamentos del Estado que siempre han colaborado con nosotros. Agradecer también a Sharif Cristian Carvajal, que nos va a hacer una breve introducción de qué es lo que por qué China y qué es lo que vamos a ver y entender y conocer por parte de Partizan y Alexandra. Thank you very much again, and merci beaucoup. No sé si lo dije. Que nos vaya muy bien. Don Sharif Cristian Carvajal.
Muchas gracias, don Roland. Voy a compartir la pantalla para dar inicio a la presentación. A ver que sí. Perfecto. ¿Me escuchan bien? ¿Ven la pantalla bien?
Sí.
Perfecto. Bueno, muy buenos días. Estamos muy contentos hoy día porque vamos a tener dos panelistas, como don Roland ya lo había comentado. Patty Sun. Patty Sun es CEO de Damon International, una agencia especializada en las activaciones a nivel retail, minorista. Es conocedora del mercado chino en todo lo que tiene que ver con la dinámica de retail en los alimentos en general. Y además cabe destacar que ella ha participado activamente desarrollando las actividades de promoción de fruta chilena en China durante los últimos 3-4 años. También vamos a escuchar hoy día al señor Alexander Ori. Tiene 20 años de experiencia y trayectoria laboral en China. Participó como freelance en distintas agencias, las más renombradas agencias de publicidad en el mundo, como Publicis, DNB y Edio, y es cofundador de la agencia digital Platform en China, que es especialista en las redes sociales y marketing online. Quiero partir este seminario con una breve presentación sobre el mercado frutícola chino. Algunos antecedentes básicos. Podemos ver acá en este gráfico la evolución de las importaciones directas de fruta templada de todo el mundo a China entre el periodo 2015 al 2019 en toneladas. Podemos ver, por ejemplo, que el 2015 China estaba importando aproximadamente 800.000 toneladas y hoy día prácticamente 1,4 millones de toneladas. Los principales productos al año 2019, nuevamente en toneladas, fueron 39% cítricos, uva de mesa con un 20%, cerezas con un 13%, kiwis con un 9% y manzanas también con un 9%, ciruelas con un 6%, duraznos, nectarinas con un 2%, arándanos y peras con un 1%. Y si miramos, bueno, de dónde provienen estas frutas del hemisferio sur, podemos ver que en términos de valor, Chile tiene una alta participación en el mercado de fruta importada a China. Prácticamente el 50% del valor de dichas importaciones provienen de Chile, seguido por Australia con un 20%, Nueva Zelanda con un 13%, Sudáfrica con un 9%, Perú 8%, y luego Argentina, Brasil y Uruguay que tienen un porcentaje relativamente reducido. Aquí pueden ver la evolución de las exportaciones directas de nuestro país a China en toneladas. Podemos ver que temporada 2015-2016 exportamos 233.000 toneladas y la temporada 2018-19 llegamos a prácticamente 449.000, lo cual durante este periodo es un aumento de en torno al 93%. Respecto al impacto COVID, en términos bastante resumidos, le quiero mostrar acá un titular que salió publicado en el South China Morning Post, por ahí por mayo de este año, que decía que el cherry freedom en China se había acabado, básicamente porque se había visto una disminuida demanda a nivel de los mercados mayoristas de frutas y además había sido impactado el consumo de alimentos en general, dado el cierre de restaurantes y el canal de Horeca en general. Y efectivamente, durante ese periodo, en este slide, que fue elaborado por una de las principales agencias de investigación de mercado en el mundo, que se llama Ipsos, ellos hicieron una encuesta por ahí por abril, preguntándole al consumidor chino, bueno, ¿cuáles fueron sus hábitos de compra y dónde compraba durante este periodo de la pandemia? 77% de estos consumidores declararon que iban a reducir sus salidas a comprar, a comer en restaurantes, etc. Un 42% declaró que iba a ser más conservador al momento de comprar distintos productos. Pero un 75% declaró que iba a ser más consciente de su salud, de los alimentos que estaba consumiendo. A su vez, también en términos de los lugares de compra, podemos ver que durante la pandemia prácticamente aumentó significativamente la compra online vía e-commerce y bajó las compras en las tiendas de departamento y los hipermercados. Pero también hay que analizar categoría por categoría. Por ejemplo, a corto y mediano plazo, Ipsos, nuevamente esta agencia de investigaciones, ha previsto de que va a disminuir el consumo de productos tal como productos de lujo, electrodomésticos caros, la compra de automóviles, de propiedades, etc. Pero también hay otra categoría de productos que aparentemente a corto y mediano plazo se va a ver un aumento en su consumo, justamente por esta concientización por parte del consumidor chino de tener que cuidar su cuerpo, su salud. Y en esa categoría están los alimentos frescos, dentro de la cual está fruta fresca, que se prevé que va a haber un aumento en el consumo en torno al 3% a futuro. Hablando del futuro, recientemente tuve el privilegio de participar en representación de la ASOEX en un seminario online hablando justamente del futuro de China. Y dentro de los distintos panelistas que habíamos, se presentó el siguiente slide por parte de Fresh Intelligence, de un colega llamado el señor Wayne Prowse, y que básicamente hizo una proyección de cuánto deberían ser las importaciones de fruta china de aquí al 2025. Y podemos ver, por ejemplo, de que él prevé que hoy día China, en lo que es fruta tropical y templada, importa en torno a las 5,9 millones de toneladas. 5,9 millones de toneladas de fruta tropical y templada. Y que eso va a aumentar a 9,3 millones de toneladas al 2025. Pero ojo, esas 9,3 millones de toneladas, el 75% es tropical y el 25% templadas. Pero igual, hoy día, lo que está previendo es que 2019, en lo que es fruta templada, saltemos de 1,4 millones a 2,3 millones de fruta importada de distintas partes del mundo a China, previendo un crecimiento anual del 9,5%, incluyendo o colocando en esta ecuación el impacto de la actual pandemia. Eso, a grandes rasgos, significa que en el espacio de 5 años, el mercado chino va a importar en torno a los 900.000 toneladas adicionales de fruta templada de distintos orígenes. Quiero destacar además brevemente un acuerdo de cooperación que Chile, el sector de frutícola chileno, ha firmado con el sector alimenticio de China. De hecho, ayer oficialmente se difundió la firma de un acuerdo entre nuestra entidad ASOEX y la Cámara de Comercio de China para importación y exportación de alimentos y productos nativos, básicamente con el objeto de fortalecer los lazos entre las distintas industrias, especialmente en estos momentos donde la colaboración es de suma importancia, dado los desafíos que nos vamos a enfrentar. Este acuerdo de colaboración, que fue firmado de manera virtual tanto en Chile como en China, básicamente tiene como objetivo cuatro pilares. Primero, apoyar las visitas comerciales entre Chile y China para los representantes de cada asociación y sus socios. 2, intercambio de experiencia en el ámbito técnico y tecnológico. 3, intercambio de información clave para la gestión, como pueden ser estadísticas de exportación e importación, qué está pasando con la legislación reguladora, información sobre el procedimiento aduanos, y también el apoyo mutuo en el desarrollo y difusión de distintas actividades publicitarias y promocionales que cada sector realiza. Eso es muy a grandes rasgos. Ahora vamos a escuchar una presentación de video que ha grabado para nosotros la señora Patty Sun, que va a explicar cómo ha sido la dinámica en estos meses, los cambios en participación de mercado, los que han subido, los que han bajado a nivel de retail offline. Entonces, y eso va a durar aproximadamente unos 10-12 minutos. Muchas gracias. Si podemos correr el video, por favor.
Hello everyone, my name is Patty Sun. I'm from China and I run an agency called Damon Worldwide. It's a retailer consultant agency and we have been partnering with ASOEX for the past 4 years for the Chilean cherry projects. And we have been intensively working with the national retailers around the nations, more than 26 of them. And our footprint is covering more than 80 cities. I'm very happy to join in this Zoom conference with all of you. And the topic, it's about the transformation of offline retailer in China. What I will share with you will be first from the epidemic impact. So looking at this document from McKinsey, this research was done before the Chinese New Year, starting from December last year. So you will see a major peak during the Chinese New Year and before the Chinese New Year. However, starting from the outbreak of Wuhan, which is January 26, you will see a tremendous drop of the spending, of course. But later on, after March, all the offline retailers, our performances are back on track slowly. Hyper and supermarket at the same time were fully recovered in May holiday. This is actually encouraging news for all of us. However, looking at the current retailers ranking, we will probably see what they have been doing and what they've been trying to do. And looking at this chart, it's very interesting. You're looking at the first place and the second place, it's still the same as last year, as Vanguard and SunArt. SunArt is a combination of RT Mart and Auchan. So the one that I circle is Yonghui, Walmart, and Hema, which I want to emphasize a little bit, because from the previous years, actually, Yonghui has been number 4. And this is the very first year that it surpassed Walmart. So it has been a watch out as well for all the international players. And the second circle is the famous Hema. As you can see, last year, they were ranking 18, and now they are ranking number 6. And the increase rate is tremendous, it's over 180% of increase. So what we have learned and what we have been looking at, what is really happening, right? And how are they doing? So right now I will start with the famous Hema. So I have 4 things that I like to share with you what we have observed. The first one is they keep on doing innovation, and they do a lot of new delivery package design. This one that I share with you is the oxygen pack that they prepare for the fresh seafood delivery. So this will really help people to understand all the products delivered to your home is fresh and is really healthy. On the second part is on the right-hand side, it's the ready-to-eat category expansion. This year, they do a lot of deep dive, not only ready to eat, they do a ready to heat, ready to cook. So they do a lot of major display in the store, and also through their app, they basically do a lot of recipe sharing. So this is encourage a lot of people during the epidemic time. You can cook for yourself, and you start to do a lot of recipe gathering. And that's what we have learned in the 2 aspects. And the third aspect for Hema is they have been launching their 0 series products, which is very, very health conscious. As you can see, it's all the display are, with the branding of 0, because their emphasis on 0 chemical pesticide, 0 antibiotics, all this about health conscious product. At the bottom side, you will see what they call this year double 100 strategy, because Hema will expand another 100 stores in the regular size, and also another 100 stores in the mini stores. This has been proven to be a very successful community services. And later on, I will share with you what has been the trend as well, because a lot of people are doing community stores, and also even RT Mart just opened up yesterday their mini stores. So this has become a trend already. And next one, of course, we have to look at Walmart. Even though they have been closing some of the stores, but we know that they still want to grow community store as well. So what they have been trying to do is they increase their fresh ratio to 50%. Before that, most of the Walmart stores, the regular ones, is around, I would say, even less than 40% of the product ratios of fresh. So they gradually know the importance of it. So when they change the community stores format, they would like to increase that ratio and drive more footprint to the stores. And because of that, they need to do a lot of repacking for the fresh food at the same time. The interesting thing is they are now not using a lot of JDDJ, JD delivery service. They're developing their own 1-hour Walmart home delivery or self-pickup for those community stores. So that's what we have observed for Walmart. Another giant, which is Suning. So a lot of people know that Suning have been acquired, they acquired Carrefour China last year. So we have seen a lot of restructure after this acquisition, and they want to try new concept. So the new concept that we have seen, it's Italy cooperation. I wonder if you know Italy. It's a combination of bakery, restaurant, and grocery model, which is very popular in New York. So they want to have that Carrefour premium stores, and they literally open up in May in Chongqing. So those premium stores will have better wine selections, a lot of online popular hot items available. So they're trying a lot of different things after the acquisition. Of course, looking at Suning themselves, they have been, trying to do a franchise model for the Suning mini stores. It's really about community service. And one of the, I would say a great point of opening up those mini stores is they can support the bigger store like Carrefour. So their opening strategy will be in between 3 to 5 kilometers around Carrefour, they will be open up as Suning mini stores. So we have seen a lot of major giants are trying to push community services as well as very, very popular formats this year. And this one is Metro. Okay, they have been acquired by Walmart. So they basically just trying to do a lot of investments on cold chain logistics. So the shoppers who basically log on 多点, which is Tmall app that Walmart use. So whoever use this app, you can order and receive fresh frozen food at the same day. Even though we know that Hema is doing 30 minutes delivery, Walmart, I just mentioned 1 hour, and right now Metro is trying very hard to do at the same day delivery for frozen food as well. So the items are listed in the Tmall app, and at the same time, they need to do a package upgrade to enable those whole health conscious concept. So you can see the right-hand side is the mini truck that they're trying to use for the cold chain logistics. And the next one is Pagoda. Probably a lot of people knows that they announced their determinations and application for Go IPO in June. So we have seen a lot of movement and actions from Pagoda. First thing is they announced about the Big Fresh strategy, which they claim that the offline stores from now on, they will really, really focusing on fruit. However, at the same time, for the online part, they will be doing a lot of fresh category in terms of all the different vegetables. And they developed Pagoda private brand as well for eggs, dairy, dry goods, and rice and noodles. So we will see a lot of interesting things happening in Pagoda. The next one is the trends that I'm looking at. I will share with you some of the trends. First thing is we have seen gas station has been very active. This example is for Sinopec. It's a government-owned gas station. And inside that gas station, there is a convenience store called Easy Joy. So they have more than 80,000 stores nationwide, and they have been established since 2008. So all the Sinopec gas station started to sell fresh items and vegetables. So we are thinking about how Chilean cherries can learn from it. Can we have our products there? And it will be a great idea to push forward for a different new channels opportunity. And this one is, we're talking about a lot of during online, offline efforts, live streaming. We're talking about live streaming, how important it is. But did you know that we've been doing a lot of live streaming in the stores? So it will basically drive a lot of traffic and also noise at the supermarket level. So on the left-hand side, you will see the live streaming from Origin and share the screen at product display in Carrefour store. And on the right-hand side is the in-store live streaming event in Yonghui. So I would like to share a very, very short video. So you will see not only the online people have seen the activation, but also a lot of people in the shops are looking at. So this will bring us a lot of good traffic to the store too. And last one but not the least, because the government actually trying to boost up the post-epidemic economy, the government actually encourage people to do a street market or night market arena. So you will see, people, even like myself, I can actually have my own kiosk, using my trunk in a cart to sell the product that I want to sell. So this is one of the things that we have seen the opportunity, and everything go offline as well. So at the end of my presentation, I want to recap. So something to watch out for everyone, okay? First thing is the importance of health consciousness. Every product, every concept that we're talking about from those online or offline retailer, everything is related to health. And so when we talk about our products, how we can leverage that is also very important. Second thing is everything is about O2O, offline to online. And a lot of shoppers and retailers are using e-commerce apps and live streaming in the stores. So it can drive the total experience for the shoppers. The third one is the transform to serve shoppers by better logistics. For example, the home delivery, self-pickup, and upgrading packaging format. So we will probably need to learn from it and how to really adjust our package along the way. So this will another thing to watch out. And the fourth thing is very, very popular right now is community services. Everyone is grabbing the opportunity to have different formats. All the retailers are creating their mini formats, community service, and capture the opportunity for group purchase. So this is something that in this year, in the coming season, for everyone to really watch out how to really work with even like regional, smaller retailer who has the community service, who has the great potential. So that's the fourth point. And the final point is we all see the growth of per basket size because a lot of shoppers doesn't want to go to the store that often. But every time they make the visit, they will spend more. So this will be the great opportunity to catch every time when the shopper is there. So try to have different formats in offline retailers and also work together with the retailers on their online strategies. That will be the most important thing for us this year. So something to watch out and something to really looking forward to. So thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Muchas gracias. Ahora vamos a seguir con la presentación del señor Alexander Ori de la agencia Platform, que nos va a contar sobre la dinámica y la evolución de los canales de venta e-commerce y las plataformas online en China durante este periodo de la pandemia. Le quiero recordar que cualquier pregunta lo pueden hacer de manera directa al final de su presentación, donde podemos tomar esas preguntas. Y por favor mantengan sus audios apagados durante la presentación. So Alexander, over to you if you'd like to share your presentation. Thank you very much.
All right, so let me put this in full screen. Right. Can you see properly, right?
Okay. Yeah, perfect. I can see it. No problem.
All right. So first of all, thank you, Cherry, for the introduction. Thank you, Ronald, for the opening words, and thank you all for having me today. Today I will be speaking about the digital activation in China, but prior to that I will quickly introduce myself and give some feedback, some market insight about China in terms of economical development and post-COVID situation. All right. So as Cherry was mentioning, I've been living in China for 20 years. I'm fluent in Chinese. I've been working with a lot of international advertising agency prior to opening my own together with a Chinese partner. And what we do is we localize brand in China we advertise them, and we also manage e-commerce system. And we have agency both in Shanghai, Beijing, and Hong Kong. And we have been working with Chile and Chilean company for more than 6 years now, starting with Wines of Chile, Pro Chile, and since 2019 with ASOEX. So let me give you first some market insight. Because China, these last 40 years since the opening reform in 1979, have been having a tremendous economical growth, which have launched like new ways for people to consume. So they really changed their consumer habit and going toward more complex food, and especially resource intensive ones, so meat, dairy, and exotic foods. And so what that means is that China back in the 70s was self-sufficient in terms of food, but since the opening reform and the change of habit, they have to rely more and more in importation. And so as we see, it's like the importation are getting more and more. And what that means is that importation, especially for exotic fruits, as Sharif was mentioning, make us, especially for the cherry season, for example, in winter, that we have to compete with durian and dragon fruit, for example, as China have recently signed agreement with Thailand and Indonesia. So this is something we need to keep our eyes on. So during the coronavirus situation, as Patty was also mentioning, and as Sharif was mentioning, a lot of things have changed, and one of them is push towards more and more online sales. So this is a trend that we were seeing already before, and that's been further developed during the pandemic. And this is also following the overall strategy from the central government. So China is launching a plan called the New Infrastructural Plan, which is a push toward high technology. Many of us maybe are aware about the 5G. So China is the first country to develop 5G technologies, and we see the conflict, it may happen sometime at political level between certain countries. But that's the most famous one, and there is many other of them. So recently, China also have launched, it's the first country to launch their digital money. So the photo on the left side of the screen is 1 yuan renminbi, digital renminbi. And so that means that all of the incentives that the country have given during the pandemic were given towards high technology companies. And those, most of them, the biggest player, are all e-commerce platforms. So that's it to give you a bit of context about what was happening in China recently. And now I will introduce a little bit more about the digital marketing, which is the things my company is specialized in. So first of all, before everything, is to remember that though China is a big country, it's a big market with more than 1 billion potential customers, we should never, ever promote to each and every one of them, because that will just simply cost too much. So at Platform, what we did is we developed a tool to segment and to define more clearly the demographic, so that we can more precisely target them and limit the expenditure in advertising. So that the great thing about China is that there is a lot of data available. We are using tools to read all of this data to be able to define clearly some demographics. Then in terms of digital landscape, so China have different regulations that there is in other countries for everything online related. So you may know that some of famous apps from the West are forbidden in China. So Google, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube are not available in China, but there is equivalent to that. The thing is, like, they develop a much more complex ecosystem where different apps do not speak to one another, which is not the case in the West. For example, Facebook and Twitter can exchange, which is not the case between Weibo, this little red logo, and WeChat. But I will go more in details in a moment about this. So right now what I will do is like introduce this big bunch, so all the social media and video platforms, as well as the e-commerce. And why I want to introduce all of them is for helping you hopefully to understand how we do activation and why we do it that way. So as China is a big country, there is also a lot of noise between different brands. A lot of people are trying to get a share of the China market. And therefore we need to multiply the touch point with our audiences to make sure that they convert, either towards our own social media channels to grow our own voice, or towards e-commerce. So hopefully dragging traffic towards sales to hopefully generate sales. But to do so, there is things that we need to do first. So first is to build the credibility of a brand using different tools. And I will go towards this in a second. Then we can drag them to our own social media, which is a tool that is great to engage with consumers, but it takes a little bit of time to develop. And the fastest one is to drag awareness using influencer, KOLs, advertising, and or OH, and then to decide wherever we want to drag them. And so to go a little bit more in depth about all of these tools, so the first one being how to build credibility. So as there is so many noise, and maybe some of you have heard about some of the fakes that China was making a while ago, then people always want to check the credibility of the brand. So the first way to do it is to build SEO within Baidu, the equivalent of Google in China. And the other one is to answer and make articles inside Baidu Zhidao, which is a little bit like Wikipedia. The difference is like all of the information put on this website are checked by the government. So that's how we build credibility, because the government check everything. And then the last one is to have a website. So then for many companies, what we do is we develop their own social media channels. So those most famous are Weibo and WeChat. They work a little bit differently. Weibo being an open platform, meaning that followers can engage in one another. And the second one, WeChat, is closed. It means only the brand can see what follower post and can answer and can interact with the follower. And one which is a little bit versatile is Red, so which work as a social media channels and as well as an e-commerce system. The target audience being very specific and targeted toward women. Another tool that is quite used these days, it's the KOL, the influencer. So as they already have a lot of followers, they help to drag awareness and redirect the audience wherever we want. So they use the Weibo, WeChat, and Red, as I was mentioning a slide earlier, but also something that is getting more and more influential is the live stream. So either TikTok or Ichibo. Another tool that is used for awareness is traditional advertising. So the same types that to use TVCs before watching some movies on IG, for example, in between news in Toutiao, or before videos in TikTok again. So TikTok being versatile. So it's a social media as well as a video platform. We also use a lot digital PR and newsfeed, but in a different way. So here we use Toutiao to put TVCs, and then we also at the same time use Toutiao to push articles based on whatever news happening for a brand. This allows us to spread wild numbers of articles during a certain period of time and to boost the SEO on Baidu. So one is connected to the other. And so now I will go a little bit more deeper in the live stream. As I was saying, is something that is getting more and more influential. Reason being, China new infrastructure plan is building the 5Gs everywhere in the country. So downloading videos is getting more and more convenient and fast. So a lot of app have been building on that, and of course influencers are using this. So a way they do it is traditional influencer style, so going towards building brand images. But another way to do it, it's to develop sales. So the KOLs can have a link directly with some of the platform, say Tmall, JD, and so on. This is automatic. It's transparent, so the store can make a deal with the KOLs to give them commission on sales. And if people from the KOLs click on the link and go to the shop and buy, it will be automatically connected through the different mechanism through Tmall and JD. And so because of that, many platforms are using their own live stream within the platform. So this doing TikTok, Kuaishou, and Ichibo are live stream outside of e-commerce platform, but e-commerce platform are developing their own live stream within the platform. So to bring this back to offline activities, that means that these KOLs are doing live stream within the supermarket, while the previous one are doing it outside of the supermarket. And so each of the platforms are developing their own tools. But why they are doing this is because, again, different platforms belonging to different groups do communicate with one another, and some of the platforms do not communicate, some of the live stream platforms do not communicate with some of the e-commerce platform. So every time we have to calculate where we want to drag the traffic to use a more specific live stream platform. All right, and that's it for me. Sharif, you want to take over?
Okay, thank you very much, Alex, for your presentation. Muchas gracias, Alex, por tu presentación. Solamente recordar que las preguntas las vamos a hacer al final. Directamente, si alguien tiene una pregunta, por favor, identifíquense y luego hagan la pregunta. Lo que vamos a hacer ahora es vamos a mostrarles algunos videos que hemos logrado grabar con algunos distribuidores e importadores del rubro en China, incluyendo Fruta Cloud y Greenery Fruit, haciendo la consulta cómo ellos perciben China ahora en su recuperación post-COVID. Entonces, si podemos colocar el video, muchas gracias.
It is really hard to know when the COVID-19 impact will be over, but I will assume that people would not gather in large groups, so I think that will help boost the supermarket business. But second of all, I think international travel will still be restricted very far into the winter. So that means the air cargo capacity from Chile to China will be an issue that we need to resolve. And finally, I think the economic impact in China is big, but we don't know to what extent that people lose their job or the income is reducing. So I think we really need to pay attention to the purchasing power of the normal people to really know what will happen during the Chinese New Year. But finally, I think what everybody could do is focus on what they do best. So if everybody still try to do the best in terms of improving the quality, in terms of arranging logistics, I think we'll be ready for any kind of challenge that will come this year.
And Greenery Fruit, in the past 2 months, we have been open more than 100 new stores, but the sales compared to the last year was reduced a lot. We think it still needs a few months to promote the recovery of the consumption. I have been asked by over suppliers in Chile, what kind of package does the customer prefer in China? At present, the customer care about the price more than the format of the package. It is still a few months for Chilean cherry season. Hope the economic and the consumption will be recovered a lot, and we will have another great season. Thank you.
Okay, muchísimas gracias. Alex, could you come back online if you don't mind? Vamos a pasar ahora a ronda de preguntas. I have an initial question for you, Alex.
Yeah.
How are you seeing the recovery today in China with your colleagues, with your team, in terms of advertising spend? How are you seeing that progress?
Okay, so first in overall feelings is that things are back to normal. My team just had a big party all together. We are about 40 people. They were all in one room and none of them were wearing masks anymore. Bar and restaurants are open again, so people are going out, but people are cautious, but they're going out. And in terms of expenditure, we see a lot of activities going on. We see an acceleration in terms of speed on how we should do activities. So things are going back.
You made an interesting comment to me the other day that food is regarded as a very special item for the Chinese, and that probably the expenditure of food will not decrease. Could you explain a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing is that for the generation that is 40 plus, 50 plus, who grew up during the 70s, they still have seen some starvation. It was a time where there was still starvation in China. So food is very important for them. As I was saying the other day, like sometimes when people see you, instead of saying like, how are you? They ask you, did you have lunch? And it's something quite common to ask this question. On the other hand, what we see, because as we also do e-commerce, we have access through Tmall to some data. And what we see is a growth of consumption of fresh fruit, of food in general on e-commerce, where, and we see an increase, for example, in luxury goods, so like caviar, foie gras, and so on. So I hope that's answered your question.
Great, thank you very much, Alex.
You're welcome.
¿Hay alguna pregunta por parte de alguien del público? Levanten la mano, lo pueden hacer en forma directa. Mientras tanto, yo quería hacer unos comentarios en términos de lo que hemos visto en la información que presentó Patty, también lo que hemos visto en distintas presentaciones y comentarios de distribuidores e importadores. A nivel retail offline, aparentemente a futuro, el crecimiento va a estar concentrado no en los hipermercados, sino más bien en las tiendas de formato pequeño. Hay una inversión importante por parte de distintas cadenas de construir justamente estos pequeños formatos en los suburbios, en los vecindarios de los chinos, justamente para facilitar la compra de distintos tipos de productos. Quizás lo que vamos a ver a futuro no va a ser compras tan frecuentes a los hipermercados, pero cuando va el consumidor a comprar a un hipermercado, lo que hemos visto es que la compra va a ser mayor. Va a haber el consumidor en general va a tratar de evitar lugares donde hay mucha congregación de personas, pero cada vez que sí va a los hipermercados, aparentemente va a comprar un mayor volumen. ¿Hay alguna pregunta por parte del público? Si no lo hay, entonces lo dejaríamos hasta aquí.
Charis, mira, hay una pregunta que le enviaron al correo de SimFRUIT que dice si Alexander piensa que el e-commerce y el delivery en general van a seguir liderando las ventas en China, sobre todo al inicio de la nueva campaña de exportaciones de frutas.
So Alex, the question was, do you think that the e-commerce or home delivery will be a major channel in terms of sales going into the future and especially in the start of the Chilean season?
Well, as I was mentioning during my presentation, the trend is that e-commerce is growing more and more. And during the pandemic, it grows tremendously more. Nevertheless, as we see, the brick and mortar stores are changing their strategy, so making more small stores. So that means, on one hand, because people don't want to travel far away, they don't want to go to the big supermarket anymore. They want to have easy access. So easy access can mean online, and we see a growth in online things, online sales. And the other one is easy access, like I just go down my house and I have whatever I need, like, so a convenience store kind of type. So yes, e-commerce is growing, but the brick and mortar are trying to answer the situation. They don't want to lose all of the market.
And also the concept of O2O is extremely important in China.
Exactly. So you have Roma, which is the best example, and they are growing quite fast and a lot. Also because they can get data from the online, use that to activate things offline. So that's on one side. On the other is that at the end of the day, we are human, we are social beings. So we need a moment where we get together. So of course, we all enjoy playing with our mobile phone and because it's fun, it's new. We can do a lot of activities on it. But at one point, it's nice to be all together. So that's why, like, we see a rise, like we think that O2O activities either in supermarket can be a nice thing. So like this, we can continue spread the same messaging and the same storytelling on different channels. And actually, the traditional retail are one of them.
We have seen a lot of retailers now focusing on a city-by-city strategy moving into the future. What do you think about the strategy?
Well, this is something we have seen, especially at the peak of the pandemic. So when we were doing the cherry campaign, because with the pandemic and China's strategy toward the pandemic, so they really want to contain the pandemic. When you see a rise of 19 cases in Beijing, they locked down 2 districts, which is something you will never see in any other countries. So that means that everyone needs flexibilities because the virus is still there and China have a strong commitment to contain it. So they, 2 weeks ago, they locked down Urumqi in Xinjiang province because there were 50 cases. So that means that for any one of us, we need to know and to be able to switch. So all the strategy going wherever distributors are, so that we are sure that people can access, consumer can access the good. And on the other hand is like, if it's locked down, then we switch to another cities, we switch to another place. So yes, I think it's important because of the strategy of the central government toward containing the virus.
Ok, si no hay alguna otra pregunta, tenemos una pregunta de Ignacio Caballero. Ignacio?
Hello, Alex. Thank you, Sharif.
Hello.
So, Alex, a key question regarding more about consumer trends. We have seen a couple of cases about food safety issues from shrimps from Ecuador, salmon, meat. So this is a taboo question. So how do you think that trends from consumer aspects are changing regarding food safety? What they are looking? What kind of insight tips can you give us as a fresh fruit exporter sector consideration to take for reacting and preventing maybe new trends that could affect the way they are consuming? And obviously, how can we must change our marketing messaging? How are we going to focus our new marketing? I know we're going to implement very soon our citrus campaign in China. So what type of change and considerations should we take in these 2 aspects?
Yeah. So the first thing is toward consumer is the messaging about health, because all the fresh fruits are all healthy for different reasons. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is more on a B2B level, is to make sure that in Chile, all the factories and all the producer and exporter follow the guideline from the WHO. So how to handle the product. So that we show that the product by themselves are healthy, but then we take strong safety in producing and shipping them. Then as for consumer, they already Chinese like traditionally, because of the Chinese traditional medicine, are health conscious. And now with the pandemic, we saw these trends getting stronger and stronger. So that means fresh fruit in particular, it's a symbol of healthiness. So I think they will continue to consume more and more healthy. And that will be the key words there, healthy.
Gracias, Ignacio, por tu pregunta. And thanks, Alex, for your response. ¿Hay alguna otra pregunta?
Sí, it's about food service in China. What happened with the food service in China? Is it operating normally?
So, except in that particular district in Beijing, where everything has been stopped for 3 weeks now, but it's just 2 districts of Beijing, and Beijing is a city of more than 20 million inhabitants, so it represents maybe 1 million. But everywhere else, like in Shanghai or other cities, is back to normal. Restaurants are open. China didn't implement the social distancing that regulations that we see in Europe or in the West in general, but because people were wearing masks. Know that if there is no coronavirus in one city, they don't need to wear a mask anymore, and things go back to normal. So on one hand, people having companies like restaurants, bars, and so on, needed to go back on business, and on the other hand is people want to enjoy. So the people like to go to restaurants in China. You know, you can see if you visit China, you will see a lot of people queuing for a restaurant, and now they are back. It's back to normal, basically back to normal, because also China is advanced compared to the rest of the world in the process of coronavirus. So the peak of the pandemic was in January in China. It was more in April in Europe, and it's arrived either later on in South America, for example. So in this process, now they are after the pandemic, they're after the crisis, and now things are back to normal. So it's something that we will all see, I hope.
Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome.
¿Alguna otra pregunta por parte del público?
No he recibido ninguna otra.
No. Okay.
¿Alguien más levanta la mano o no?
No, parece que no hay otras preguntas. Simplemente agradecer su participación. Thank you very much, Alex, for your participation. Muchísimas gracias a todos los que participaron por su consulta, por su atención. Y lo esperamos en la próxima webinar que organizará ASOEX respecto a la dinámica en otros mercados. Muchísimas gracias.